Rev up your engines!
Well, people are worried about their electric car starting on fire. Well, there's a company called Gruber Motors, which specializes in fixing Teslas and stuff. And it caught on fire for the second time. A bunch of Teslas burned down again. It's a Phoenix, Arizona shop, and they specialize in doing Teslas, electric cars. Well, I guess even they have problems with the cars starting on fire, and these are experts that know how to work on them. So if you get an electric car, don't open it up in your garage and try to work on a thing. I wouldn't even charge it up inside the garage. At least charge it outside. So if it burns down, make sure you got insurance on your electric car, but you don't want your house to burn down with the car. Let the car burn down by itself. Those lithium batteries, when they burn uber hot. In 2017, this Phoenix shop burnt down, and it destroyed 5 Tesla Roadsters, and even a T0 vehicle. And these are guys that know how to work on things, supposedly, right? They're saying that this latest fire, as many as 30 Tesla Roadsters may have been destroyed in the fire. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe the people who owned those Roadsters didn't want them back. They get their insurance money and get something else. Who knows? I know lots of guys in Houston, they loved it when a hurricane came. They were able to get rid of their boat that they hated, and they got their insurance money, which was 2 to 3 times that they would have gotten paid if they tried selling the stupid boat. So hey, maybe some of those people are happy that they burnt down. Who knows? But just shows they're not the safest vehicles in the world when an expert who works on them has them burning down his place. Drago says I got a 97 Mazda with fuel trim problems. It's got 148,000 miles, and the code is PO170 for fuel trim. I changed the fuel pump, spark plug wires, but not the fuel injectors. What could it be? Well, I hope you changed the fuel filter too, because it could have been just the fuel filter. You don't get enough volume of fuel coming through. The fuel filter's clogged up. It doesn't have enough volume, and you'll do the same exact thing. First thing you want to check is the mass airflow sensor. That can go bad. You can try cleaning it, like I show in my video, make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. You could have a mechanic look at it, the data say, okay, your mass airflow sensor is bad, it needs replacing. If all that stuff's okay, it could easily be the fuel injectors, just from old age. So the first thing you want to do is clean them. And I like that ATS cleaner that I made that video of, where you just pour it in a gas tank and you drive it. And it's a very good cleaner. It can clean the carbon off the injectors. A lot of times I use that and it fixes it, and away you go. No more problems. Now, if that doesn't fix it, it could easily be the fuel injectors are just flat worn out. You got 148,000 miles. But the Japanese make pretty good fuel injectors, and a lot of times cleaning them up, we're going to go try that. They could easily fix it. Shannon says, I got a 2011 GM Spark, and the coolant keeps getting low. Blown head gasket test showed it wasn't blown. Don't see smoke coming out of the back. How can it be losing coolant? All right, it's not leaking, it's not dripping down. So somehow it's escaping. Pray it's this, the simplest thing on earth. If your radiator cap is worn, it's supposed to hold pressure. And if it doesn't, the pressure lets off, and then it will just release coolant as steam. You won't see it anywhere, but it'll disappear. Change the radiator cap. If that fixes, you can thank Scotty for a cheap fix. Now, if it doesn't, Chevy Sparks are pretty cheaply made vehicles. And you did say you did a leak test on the engine head gasket block. The problem is, when those just start up, the test may not show that it actually is starting to burn it. When they're really gone, it'll show it, because then carbon dioxide will get in the cooling system. But sometimes when they just start, depending on where the crack is in the head gasket, it'll burn the coolant, but it won't be throwing carbon dioxide into the system yet until the hole gets bigger. So you probably, if it's not the radiator cap, I know those Chevy Sparks, it's probably starting to blow the head gasket. You might have a mechanic do an even more in-depth test. We mechanics have carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide sensors that we can stick in the radiator to sense it, to smell it, and if it shows that it's leaking, you know that's what it is. Pray that it's just the radiator cap. It could be, but if not, odds are the head gasket's starting to go. I know those Sparks. They're little engines, they're junk, and they eat up head gaskets. Jeffrey Whitacon says, I got an 05 Jeep Wrangler. When I stop, I hear a gear engaging in a drivetrain. It's not in 4-wheel. I only have 32,000 miles. Is this normal? No, it's not normal. It's an 05 Jeep Wrangler. Unfortunately, they have relatively weak automatic transmissions. And when you come to a stop and then you hear the drivetrain, something engaging inside it, it is usually internal problems with the automatic transmission. You know, they got a downshift when they go in, it's not doing it right, and then after you stop, it does it. It should do it while you're coming to a stop. When you stop, it shouldn't do anything. That is not normal. That's the problem with Jeeps. They have relatively weak automatic transmissions. If you're going to buy one, get a standard. They're going to last longer. But that's not normal. Don't think that any stretch of the imagination that's normal. Take it to a good transmission guy. He can explain the whole thing, and it might be a time to get rid of the thing, or if you're really nuts about it, you might want to have them tear it down and find out what's broken inside. It's not going to be cheap though. Richie says, I got a Chevrolet HHR 2006. I took it to my favorite father's mechanic to fix the transmission. When he was done, it wouldn't start. The security system. He's been struggling. 2 weeks, can't figure out how to fix it. Could I bypass it? Obviously, he screwed up because when he changed the transmission, that's a lot of work. There's wires and stuff everywhere. He obviously screwed something up, and if he can't fix it, he's not a very good mechanic because obviously he doesn't understand the electronics. They're relatively complex systems, but if you Google it, you will see there's a lot of guys out there that sell relatively inexpensive kits to bypass the stupid anti-theft systems in those, and you might buy one and install it. It is not rocket science installing them. You just follow their instructions. Many of them actually have videos to show how it's done, and they'll show you the parts that they sell you and how you put them on, and you can bypass the whole thing. You might as well do that, but I'll tell you, I wouldn't go back to that mechanic. He's useless. He worked on your car, now it won't start, and he can't figure it out. He's not a mechanic, because a mechanic is able to fix things like that. If he can't, he's just a parts changer. He just takes stuff off, puts stuff on, and now he's confused because it's over his head. He doesn't understand. He shouldn't be working on cars if he doesn't understand how the systems work and how to fix them. And doesn't have the equipment to fix them either. You need very expensive equipment to work on the anti-theft systems. There's a lot of stuff can be bypassed. But I'm surprised the idiot that doesn't tell you, look, I can buy the system and bypass the whole thing. You know, maybe he couldn't even figure that out. I don't know. You can buy those systems. And if push comes to shove, tow it from his place to a mechanic that will install one of those systems. Make the other guy pay for it because he screwed up. Well, you hear me talk about I don't think much about minis. Well, here's a man who thinks about the same as me with his own experience. His name's Angelo. I just rented a Mini Cooper Countryman after my Camry was hit badly parked. I can't believe what garbage it is. This has 2,600 miles. The engine cuts out when you come to a stop, and it can take 1 to 3 seconds to start up. And when it does, it jerks forward, pulling into the traffic dangerous. The gear shift is electronic, so you can't even be sure what gear you're in. The touchscreen radio is so complicated, it's near unusable. I haven't figured out how to use it for a few days. There should be a mass movement against these garbage car manufacturers. What's wrong with them? Why should people buy these things? Thank goodness it's such a rental. Yeah, the quality of stuff's garbage. It really is. I've had customers with them, and they're always in a cute little car. Yeah, it's a cute little car, right? And park it in your front lawn and look at it and polish it, right? Use it as an ornament. But the quality is garbage on those things. I mean, let's face it. They're made in England. English don't make much anymore that's worth beans. And that's a perfect example of it. You got the English building German vehicles. You know, BMW owns the company. They got a lot of BMW parts on it. Yeah, their quality is. He had a Toyota, he got in a wreck, and he got that as the rental. And he said, what a pile of junk this car is with 2,600 miles. Imagine as it gets older. So if you value your money, you might stay away from those things. They aren't very well made. It's not just me. It's the rest of the world that understands cars. Now, I can't believe this PC nonsense that's going on in our country. Well, DC Comics has removed the American way from Superman's logo. The Man of Steel, of course, always says truth, justice, and the American way. Well, now they can't say the American way, so they cut that out, right? To me, this is just too much. One, it's a comic. I hate to tell anybody out there, but Superman isn't real. It's a fantasy, right? But even the fantasy stuff now has to be PC, to be politically correct, right? So Superman can't be truth, justice, and the American way, you know? They're not saying why they changed it. Yeah, obviously it's PC, you know, but they don't want to admit it. Obviously a PC thing that's going on here. They say it's a more global, universal slogan. Come on now, it was Superman, you know? PC stuff's getting to be ridiculous. Fantasy creature can't even say that now, you know? It's a fantasy. Do people understand what fantasy is? Like comedy? Do people understand what comedy is? Comedy is supposed to be able to make fun of absolutely anything, right? But now everything has to be PC. That's nonsense. People are getting carried away. Now that Superman can't be the American way anymore, I mean, who knows? What's next? It just amazes me, this PC nonsense that people get carried away with. It's gone too far. People have lost their minds. People, there is history. History existed. And don't try to be like the Japanese after World War II that tried to pretend that history didn't exist and they didn't do bad things in China. You shouldn't change history. We're going to be like 1984 and George Orwell, where they keep changing the past to fit the present. Let's face things the way they are. Let's not change Superman's slogan either. What, is Chevrolet going to say they're not the heartbeat of America anymore? The heartbeat of the future or some nonsense? Come on now. People, you're getting too carried away. You need to stop and look around, start thinking, instead of acting like a bunch of clowns that are looking for something here that isn't politically correct. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, Remember to ring that bell.